They say desperation sharpens the mind, but on the battlefields of World War II, it did something more. It turned ordinary soldiers into inventors. When supply lines snapped, when commanders demanded the impossible, when survival hinged on improvisation, troops didn't fold. They built. They crafted. They forged weapons from scrap, kitchen tools, farm parts, and whatever was lying around. And the results weren't just clever. They were deadly effective. Let's dive straight into the wild world of improvised firepower, where soldiers transformed household junk into battlefield game changers. The truth hit soldiers early and the war factories couldn't keep up. Nations were fighting on multiple fronts, rushing equipment across oceans, railways, deserts and skies. Somewhere along that chaotic chain, things got lost, delayed or destroyed. So men in trenches and resistance fighters in occupied cities threw the rulebook aside. Why wait for a polished rifle when you could build something that fired right now? Why hope for a factory-made explosive when a few everyday chemicals could get the job done? This wasn't just creativity. It was survival engineering. Rough, raw, unapologetically practical. One of the simplest and most shocking improvised weapons was the World War II pipe gun. Soldiers and resistance fighters used steel plumbing pipes because the diameter was close enough to hold pistol or shotgun ammunition. Here's the part that surprises most viewers. The first versions didn't even use triggers. The user pulled back a makeshift firing pin and let it snap against the primer. Crude, risky, but in close-quarter battles or surprise ambushes. Extremely effective. These pipe guns popped up everywhere: city ruins, jungle outposts, hidden resistance workshops. They were portable, cheap, and quick to build. And in the hands of someone desperate but determined, they turned plumbing hardware into life-saving firepower. Most people think of Molotov cocktails as the iconic improvised weapon, but they forget what they really were. Household bottles, everyday fuel, and fire. World War II soldiers grabbed wine bottles, beer bottles, and even perfume bottles, anything made of glass, filled them with gasoline or alcohol, then stuffed in a rag. But here's the twist that makes this more than just a burning bottle story. Frontline troops often mixed in motor oil to thicken the fuel, making it stick to vehicles. Suddenly, a weak flame became a vehicle-melting glue of fire. When you spot footage of tanks rolling through cities and someone sprinting forward with a flaming bottle, that's not a dramatic movie moment. That's literal home chemistry shifting the tide of a battle. In a world before smartphones and microchips, radios were the heart of communication. Soldiers cherished them, resistance fighters depended on them. And when things got brutal, those same radios got repurposed into bombs. The trick was simple. Keep the casing, gut the inside, and stuff it with explosives made from fertilizer, charcoal, or repurposed ammunition. Then add a basic wiring system, often scavenged from doorbells or lamp switches, and boom, you had a portable, disguised explosive that could be planted in a vehicle or building. These radio bombs didn't just destroy targets. They created psychological shock. When an everyday object becomes a weapon, the enemy starts doubting every shadow, every crate, every bag. When ammunition ran low, stealth became the soldier's best friend. Many farm tools, axes, pruners, hammers, handsaws, were reshaped into close-range weapons. These weren't glamorous, but they were reliable. A sharpened farm tool doesn't jam. It doesn't need ammunition. It just works. Not all improvised tools were built to kill. Some were built to warn. Soldiers stretched wires across paths and tied them to electrified tin cans, pans or cutlery. When the enemy tripped the line, the metal crashed together loudly. It was homemade early warning tech. Simple, fast to build, highly effective at night. But in some units, those same tripwires were connected to real explosives, turning warning systems into deadly traps. A cooking pan by day, a battlefield sensor by night. One of the most brutal, improvised weapons of the war was the nail grenade. The design was painfully simple. Take a metal can or pipe, pack it with explosive powder from disassembled ammunition, then tape or tie nails around the outside. When the grenade detonated, the nails became high-speed shrapnel. Soldiers didn't need training to understand its effectiveness. One throw could shred wooden barriers or clear rooms. It was messy, dangerous, and devastating. And yes, many nail grenades were literally made from food cans salvaged after meals. Factory-made flamethrowers were powerful but bulky. So soldiers started experimenting with pressure sprayers, bicycle pumps and oil cans. They mixed gasoline with thick motor oil, rigged a pressurized container and ignited the stream with a burning cloth or spark mechanism. The result? A short-range flamethrower made from junk lying around a workshop. These improvised versions didn't throw flames far, but in trenches or bunkers they were terrifyingly effective. When you realize a garden sprayer could become a battlefield flamethrower, you start to understand why ingenuity wins wars. Improvised weapons weren't just tools, they were symbols. They showed that even when soldiers were undersupplied, cornered or isolated, they refused to give up. A pipe gun meant defiance. A bottle bomb meant hope. A sharpened farm tool meant survival. These creations helped resistance groups sabotage enemy infrastructure, helped isolated soldiers defend themselves, and helped entire units stretch limited supplies further than anyone thought possible. Today's survivalists look back at these improvised weapons not because they want to replicate them, but because they show a mindset worth remembering. Resourcefulness, grit, adaptation. World War II wasn't just fought with tanks, aircraft and artillery. It was fought with household junk repurposed into battlefield innovation. And that's why these stories still matter. They remind us that tools are only half the equation. The human mind is the real weapon. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the forgotten ingenuity of war, make sure you subscribe to Legacy of Survival and share this video with someone who loves hidden history as much as you do.